Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and welcome back to Black American Lineage. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for your comments. And thank you for coming back again and again to view this channel. Thank you for your support. Today I'm going to talk about horse racing because this is horse racing season. I think the Kentucky Derby was yesterday, May 4th. And so this is the season for horse racing. I talked about this before on my other channel, but I think every season we should remember the people who came before us and what they did. It is very important for us to remember that the first jockeys, horse racers, were black. And so that's what this article is going to be about today, because we have to remember them. We have to give them their due because history has tried to erase them. It's hidden history. So we have to keep digging it up because other people keep trying to bury it. This article is from a publication called Overthought, and it says, "The Monumental Black Legacy in the Kentucky Derby." The Kentucky Derby has become a mosaic of nationalities, from the spectators and their flamboyant hats to the jockeys mounted atop the 3-year-old thoroughbreds racing the 1.25-mile track. But it wasn't always that white. While 13 of the 15 jockeys in the first 1875 Kentucky Derby were black, by 1921 African American jockeys would disappear from the scene. It would be nearly 80 years before Marion St. Julian took to the saddle and placed 7th in the Kentucky Derby of 2000. So let's get it straight. They were the first jockeys. They won the first Kentucky Derbies. But somehow they got kicked out. I wonder why. One word: jealousy. But let's keep going. What happened to the familiar faces of the early jockeys? And why did it take nearly 80 years before the world saw a return of black jockeys? Pioneers of the Derby. Racing was exceptionally popular in the southern states, so it shouldn't come as a surprise that many of the early jockeys were people enslaved to those who owned the young horses. As such, they worked in the barns, cared for the horses, and cleaned the stalls. They became familiar and comfortable with the horses. Their expertise and skills on the ground made them the natural choice to saddle up at race time. Dominance in the early years. Between 1875 and 1902, black jockeys won 15 of the first 28 Kentucky Derby races, showcasing their unmatched skill and dominance in the sport. Their success on the track laid the groundwork for the Derby's legacy as one of the most prestigious horse races in the world. Now that tells us that the black jockeys established horse racing in the United States. So the takeaway from this paragraph is that they had unmatched skill and they dominated the sport of horse racing. No one knew at the time, but Churchill Downs would become the pinnacle of thoroughbred racing across the country, with horses and jockeys from around the world. The first Kentucky Derby winner was African American jockey Oliver Lewis, who rode Aristides to victory in the first Kentucky Derby. Jimmy Winkfield, one of the most renowned black jockeys, won the Kentucky Derby twice, in 1901 and 1902, making him one of the only 2 black jockeys to win the Derby multiple times. His remarkable achievement solidified his place in racing history and highlighted the talent and capability of black riders. Well, that was 1902. In today, 2024, nobody has to guess about the athletic abilities and achievements of Black American men. See, they were still playing games with us back in 1901 and 1902, pretending that they were the best at everything. Isaac Murphy was born into slavery, but is remembered as the first jockey, black or white, to win the Derby 3 times. Okay, so shout out to our ancestor, Isaac Murphy. Matter of fact, shout out to all of them. All right, y'all, brace yourself. Here comes the devil. Despite their success, black jockeys faced discrimination and exclusion from the sport. Segregation and racism in the early 20th century led to riders being forced out of their profession. Okay, so see, they were forced out. They're calling it racism and discrimination. That's really true. But the word they're leaving out is jealousy. The black riders were better riders than they were. Physical violence toward black jockeys became commonplace at the track. White jockeys frequently tried to run black jockeys and their horses into the rails, posing a threat to the jockeys and the horse. Because of the risks, owners were less likely to sign black jockeys. So what we have here is a triple threat, which is very deadly. You've got racism, discrimination, and jealousy. Any of those 3 could cause serious harm to those jockeys. And now the white people had learned how to ride the horses. The black guys had taught them how to ride. So now you get out of the way and let me ride and get the limelight and the accolades. Forgotten contributions. Our history isn't always shining with pride. Jim Crow laws changed the face of America, pushing aside the legacies and memories of the contributions of black citizens. Horse racing is no different. As segregation grew, black jockeys disappeared and were relegated to return as enslaved people working the grounds. So see, anytime you try to rise, he'll beat you back down. So careers continued outside the United States. 2-time winner Jimmy Winkfield rode Alan Adale to victory in 1902, becoming the second jockey to win back-to-back Kentucky Derbies. As segregation permeated the United States, Winkfield and his family left for Europe, where he continued to ride until 1930. Good for him. Nearly excluded from celebrations, despite an invitation to pre-Derby celebrations in the 1960s by the National Turf Riders Association, Jimmy Winkfield and his daughter were denied entry. Oh, goodness. Segregation laws prohibited their entry, but after much discussion, they were later allowed inside. Marion St. Julian began his professional riding career in 1989 at Evangeline Downs, where he won his first race. After many successes, St. Julian became the first African American jockey to compete in 79 years when he rode to a 7th place finish in the 2000 Kentucky Derby. So after an 80-year blackout, a brother still came in and won 7th place. I think that's pretty good. Recognition. In recent years, there has been a growing acknowledgement of the importance of honoring and preserving the legacy of black jockeys in horse racing. Initiatives like the Black Heritage in Racing Collection at the Kentucky Derby Museum are aimed at commemorating contributions and sharing stories that are essential for preserving racing's heritage. Okay? It's important to note that it is black people who is pushing the recovering of our history. These people are not doing this on their own. So this initiative is coming from the Black Heritage in Racing collection. Somebody has always written stuff down. I can remember back in the day, I would be hearing old people, sometimes my grandparents or other elders in the community, talking about things black people did. It would be kind of in a hushed voice, and you sort of dismissed it because in the days of Jim Crow, and we were just coming out of Jim Crow, when I was young, you just you just couldn't believe that black people had been able to do things, but they had been. Somebody remembered it and somebody recorded it. So that's how come the history is coming out. It was hidden, but in this age of awareness, what was hidden is coming to light. Okay, y'all, thank you for listening and have a good day.